Hey y'all, did you miss me? I told you I'd be back. Good to see you. Hope you're doing well and staying safe with this coronavirus thing that won't seem to go away. Wanted to take a little time and do a question and answer video, and I'm going to try and make it as interesting as I can and not bore you to death. Tell you a little bit about me. Quick history, I've been in Houston since my younger days when I was about 7 years old. I was originally born in New Orleans. You might still hear a little bit of that accent. Okay. Went to high school out in Cypress, Texas, junior high, elementary, out there. Graduated from Cy-Fair High School. In my 11th and 12th year, I got into a co-op program where you work part of the day and go to school part of the day. And I got into construction. I did the trim work and cabinets on more tract homes and houses than I can shake a stick at back in those days, and that went on for quite a while. Did some remodeling work after that. Got involved in a little bit of charity work where I met the most beautiful lady in the entire world and was so blessed and honored she married me. That would be Aisha. And I'm the happiest man in the world for that. And nowadays, my construction has progressed up into strictly what I do is high-rise remodel. I remodel the interior on office buildings. Been doing that for, oh gosh, coming up on 30 years now, I think. And the wood shop I have, it took me about every bit of, I guess 20, 25 years from the time I bought the property, started working on the shop little by little. I built it in 3 phases. The office and the back of the first part of the shop I originally had. Then when I acquired the space next door, I built the balance of the 2 portions of the wood shop over there, 1 section at a time. So that's how it all came to be about. But now, after I told you all that, let me be quite honest, and this is probably going to shock a lot of you guys, all right? But it's not actually a wood shop. It's not actually a shop at all. I built all of this for the sole purpose of making YouTube videos. I'm sorry, I heard so many comments like that. I just had to do that. But in all seriousness, this is my own personal wood shop. There's really nobody that works in the wood shop besides me and Mr. Berto. Mr. Berto helps me keep it clean and helps me with stuff and, you know, the general helper stuff. He's been with me about 18 years, I think. And again, I wouldn't trade Mr. Berto for the world. Great, great guy. Okay, so I wanted to say thank you to a few people real quick. So before I get into the rest of the question and answers, let me show you guys a couple of things. Mr. Ronald Lovewell sent me this level. It's a David and Cook level from the early 1900s, made out of cherry wood, somewhere from around 1903 to 1910. And Ronald, I just love it. I can't say thank you enough. It has gone proudly up on my wall, and I'll show you when I get it up there. Beautiful level. Y'all check this out. Really nice. Thank you, sir. Thank you so very much. Hey y'all, this box of wood samples was sent to me by Mr. John LaFreniere out of Florida. He lives on the plantation land where Thomas Edison and Henry Ford had plantations. And back in the day, the Edisons and the Fords brought in trees from around the world and planted them there on the plantation in Florida. And that's where these woods come from. During some of the past hurricanes, some of the trees got knocked over. And John lives there, and the folks on the plantation give him pieces of the wood, and he makes projects and products out of them for them to sell in a store they have there. Coasters and cutting boards and turnings and so on. But John was so nice as to send me this box, and I'm gonna make some sample boards out of them and some little small projects and stuff. And here in the future, I'll show you all that. And thank you again, John. Thank you. What an honor. Mr. John Conlon, thank you, sir, sent me these two nice pieces of sycamore and sarsaparilla for my sample wall of woods. These are two that I didn't have. And John, thank you very much. They're going to go up on the wall, and I'm going to, if you don't mind, I'm going to put your name on them. And yeah. Thank you, sir. I love them. And I wanted to stop and say thank you to all the subscribers. I still hadn't figured out how to respond to you on YouTube, so I just wanted to let you know you mean so much to me. It's just an honor. I would have never in a million years thought that so many people would like and enjoy the shop and want to see more, and I'm going to do my best to send them out. So the next question I'd like to ask for y'all that I've heard quite a bit about is, how much did the shop cost? Well, like all of us, I know what the building costs. The building's a lot larger than just my shop. It's got many other spaces to it, that I lease out. And that was a couple of million spent on the property for leasing purposes, and I use a very, very small portion of it myself for the shop and the office. How much did the shop cost? I don't know. No more than anybody else would really know. You don't keep a running tally of things like that. Over the years, you buy a few things, you keep them, they wear out, you replace them. You start out with a portable saw, you upgrade to a saw that you can use for a shop saw and a job saw. You go from a Delta Unisaw to a saw stop. You start with a small planer, you go to a bigger planer, and on and on. So who knows how much it cost? I honestly don't know. Yes, there's a lot invested in the shop, but it's what makes me happy. I enjoy it, so it's all good. As far as why the shop is so clean, well, guys, here's another thing that's really, really gonna surprise you, and it too is true. I spent 2 weeks, myself and Mr. Berto, especially Mr. Berto, credit where credit is due, because quite honestly, I'm lazy, cleaning and detailing that shop, making it look like a shiny Mercedes before I invited y'all in. It normally, when I'm working in it, gets dusty, gets dirty, sawdust everywhere, around 10 feet around the lathe, covered with saw shavings, table saw dirty. I don't leave it that way. Yes, I do keep it clean. Thank God, and luckily I'm blessed. I have Mr. Berto to help me with that. I do like it clean, but that shop does get very dirty. Please don't think it looks like it every day, like it looks in the video, because it really doesn't. Hey guys, and I also wanted to let you all know, I see a lot of videos that people put out there, and it seems like they're just making a video so they can put something out there on YouTube, making giant big tools and just kind of silly stuff. And I want to let you know, I may not get the most videos out there in the world, but I'll never do that. And I try and put a little humor in my videos as best as I can. But for the most part, I'm putting them out to help y'all learn how to do something or teach you a few tricks that I know. And I want them to help you, I really do. So I'm going to do my best not to put anything out there that just is a waste of time or something that would be useless to somebody. Okay, I won't go naming names and pointing out things and all that nonsense. That's not necessary. But I want to put something out for you that'll help you, and hopefully at the same time you'll enjoy. And thanks again. I haven't labeled the shop as a museum yet. It's not meant to be a museum. I just love the old tools. I've had them piled up in boxes for a long time. I keep getting given some now and then. Not much you can do with wall space right along the ceiling and some high spots, although I do make use of a lot of space. I just love the tools. So every little spare inch I've got, when I get one and I put one up. I like the way they look. They're appropriate for the shop. I've seen it done in other places. I know a few other people have commented they have some in their shop. So I haven't declared it a museum yet. When I pass away, maybe they'll make it a museum. We'll see. Okay? A few of y'all have asked why I have 3 band saws and 3 routers and 2 miter boxes and so on. Well, as far as the band saws go, I only had 2. One I kept a resaw blade on, that big Delta, and the smaller one, which I would swap 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch blades in. And then the third one was just given to me. And I was presented with the opportunity to have 3 where I could keep a 1/4 inch blade designated on one all the time. And that's why there's 3 band saws. And it's very nice to be able to go right from the resawing to the small 1/4 inch blade without having to reset the drift, change the blade out to use a different size blade. Really nice to have that feature. Far as the 3-headed router table goes, if you've ever built doors or drawer fronts or curio cabinets where you have several different routes to do, or router patterns to do, the cutting of the rabbet and then the overlap and so on. Once you've got that set up on a router table, you don't want to reset it. You can't reset it. You have to leave it the same. And if you need to make a different route at the same time, which in making doors, sometimes you can have to make up to 4 different router passes. I don't have 4 heads of routers, but I do have 3. And I've used it for that purpose several times. And when I built it, that's why I built it as a 3-headed router table. The 2 Bosch miter boxes is a recent upgrade within the last couple of years. There was, as y'all might have noticed in some of the old pictures, a Delta, radial arm saw and a Delta miter box sitting up there. And I did not find myself using the radial arm saw that much at all, but I did find myself setting up a jig on the miter box to cut a 30-degree angle on turning blocks that I was making and needed hundreds of pieces, and had to revert back to some square cuts or a different angle cut for the top, and I had to move my saw and change my setup. And it just came to me. If I had 2 miter boxes sitting here, I could leave the jig or the setup on one of the saws and use the other one freely without having to move or change my setup. And that has worked out very nicely. And that's why I have the 2 miter boxes. Okay. And of course I have a sink. I get dirty. And the reason there's 3 dust collectors in the shop is, like I was saying, I built the shop in 3 different phases as I could get the space. And that's why there's 3 of them. One of these days, when money allows, I would like to have a big external cyclone, you know what I'm trying to say, cyclone dust collector set up outside and pipe all 3 of the areas into one collector that took everything outside. But for right now, the 3 dust collectors that I have, one for each section of the shop, it does the job okay. The saw stop table saw sitting here behind me. The original saw that was here, well, the original saw was an older Delta. The second saw was the Delta Unisaw, and then last year the Unisaw got swapped out for the saw stop. I did use the same backfeed table. It's been built for quite a while for all 3 saws. The 2 Deltas interchanged very nicely, but the Unisaw didn't. So I had to wind up rebuilding the top, not the whole cabinet, just the top, to accommodate the saw stop with the slide on the end. So that was rebuilt just for this saw. The table's outfeed table in the back is basically just a 60-inch by 60-inch base cabinet with 3 very large drawers in it. Drawers. And the top itself is made out of, I think there are 4 layers of 3/4 inch MDF, and then 2 layers of Baltic birch on top of that, and then the top is covered with black Formica or plastic laminate. And one of the cabinet shops that does some work for me on the commercial end had one of their guys come over and laminate the top for me. The first one was also built out of black laminate for the Delta saw, and so is this one for the saw stop. Again, the cabinets that are all set up around the table saw, they roll right out of the way and slide right out of the way on the front side, not on the back side. You really don't need to get to the back of the saw for anything, but you do need to get to the sides to open it up, to work on it, to clean it, and so on. So that's why I made those cabinets removable. And on the video, it looks like I don't have much space here in front of the table saw, but I truly do. I can easily rip 52 inches without a problem. If a 60-inch by 10-foot sheet I don't use very often, matter of fact only a couple of times, and for that I had to roll the bandsaws out of the way. But as far as your average 4x8 sheet goes, got plenty of room for it. As far as length goes, there's, I think, roughly 18 feet between the blade and the cabinet up in front of it here. Open that back door in the back, and it's endless. There's a set of rolling gates in front of the roll-up door, but they roll out of the way also. So that's basically what the table saw is. The charging stations for the cordless tools, I keep a kill switch on them, and I just said I had problems with them in the past. When I had some old DeWalt's here a while back, I had one of them, something went wrong with it and it didn't shut off. It just kept charging and charging, and the battery got extremely hot. And another time I had some Black & Deckers plugged in, or was it Milwaukee? No, it was Black & Decker. I had some Black & Deckers plugged in, and one of the batteries actually overheated after the charge. I think it also kept charging or overcharging and started to swell up and got bubbles in it. If I had not gotten there early enough the next morning, it might have started a fire. So after that, I just decided it's just too easy to wire them through a kill switch. And you don't want any dust, dirt, or metal shavings getting into those little charging areas. You like to try and keep that clean. So for that reason, I keep covers over them, especially since the one on the other side sits behind a grinding wheel. When I rebuilt my miter saw bench here a little while back and took out the Delta miter box and the radial arm saw, the cabinet, the base cabinet stayed the same. I just rebuilt the countertop to reconfigure the recesses for the miter boxes. And I changed the dust collection on them a little bit and got a 2-inch dust hose coming all the way right up to as close as I could get it on the saw instead of a small 1.5 inches. And I didn't enclose it. Excuse me, I didn't want that look. I like the way they look like this. I like to be able to use the space behind them. So yeah, it gets dirty, but yeah, we clean it up when we're done. So it worked out nicely. And I've got all the additional length, although I had the bench laid out the same with the radial arm saw where the miter box could still run all the way through. Having the 2 miter boxes has really turned out nice. And after doing this, wouldn't you know, Festool goes and puts out a nice, beautiful miter box that I really like. But I'm going to have to live with my Bosches here. I like them, and they're going to be there for a while. The joiner is a Porta-Cable 12-inch. My first joiner I ever bought was a small tabletop 6-inch. I think it was a Black & Decker if I'm not mistaken. And then I went to a floor model 6-inch Delta, then a 8-inch porta cable, and then I traded in and traded up that 8-inch for the 12-inch. And again, the video's not doing it justice. I have plenty of working room here between them, and from end to end it works out great. So it's not as tight as it looks, and I know a lot of y'all commented about that, but there's a lot of space for what you're doing in this area, that is. I mean, running the boards lengthwise on a joiner, that you only need distance in one direction. Same thing with a miter box. So good, comfortable standing space between the two. It's plenty of space. Doesn't give me any problems at all. All my little signs that I have around the shop, like I was telling y'all, I really like them. They make me smile when I see them and motivate me. And thanks to a new friend from Germany, I have a new one. He told me something I haven't heard before. And if I can remember it correctly, it goes something like, it's better to have what you need than need it and not have it. And so for that reason, I'm happy and I'm blessed that I'm able to keep a good stock of what I need on hand and not have to run somewhere every time I need something. So that's real nice to know. There was one of my signs that says, men love shop time, women love shopping. And a very, very nice lady pointed out to me that I misspelled shopping, that it's spelled with 2 P's. And I just wanted to let her know. I know I have a hard time with my words and they're a tongue twister to me, but it's a play on the word shop. Shop, not shopping. So that's why it's shopping is only spelled with 1 P. It's intentional. So, and there's a couple other little signs that are spelled like that. Not so much misspelled, but not worded correctly. Because you know how many twists you can play on the word would. I would if I could. He's got the wood. They would. It goes on. You can come up with some good ones when you start twisting those words around. Hey, and let's talk about CNC machines for a minute. They are some of the greatest tools that we've invented in a long time. Really very helpful. 2 of the cabinet shops that do a lot of my cabinet work have great big ones, and they do production work. And they are wonderful for that purpose. Wonderful for that purpose. For me personally, and just for me personally, I've never had a need for one. I don't do any what's the word? Constant doing the same thing. Repetitious. Thank you. Glad you said that. Any repetitious stuff that I would want to see in CNC machine doing. With that said, I actually did own one, a little small one, a few years ago, and it would do some nice little carvings and things, but I found no joy in it, sitting there on a computer trying to design a program and then run a machine. And I'm not knocking them, not at all. People love them, and if they do and they like them, that's wonderful. They're great for them. For production work, when I was at the AWF show in Atlanta a couple of years back, they had big CNC machines set up, and they were banging out Christmas stand-ups on one of those machines that was the size of a tractor trailer, like there was no tomorrow. Snowmen and Santa Claus and reindeers and all that good stuff. And the cabinet shops, when they're making those repetitive cuts for cabinets and sides and drawer boxes, great machines for that purpose. I personally just don't feel the need for one, so I don't have one. As far as my Milwaukee cordless tools go, I haven't had them long enough to know everything there is to know about them. They are a little bit pricey if you ask me, but not so much more than others. They've been great so far, good battery life so far. The rapid chargers work wonderful. They charge the battery in 1/10 the time that the regular chargers do. Up until I changed out those, I had porta cables, I had some Makitas, I had some what are they called? Those green ones. I forget. But I had the ability to swap them all out to the Milwaukees, so I did. And so far I've been real happy with them, guys. Got nothing bad to say about them. So, but that is recent, that is fairly new, probably one of the newest things that I upgraded in the shop thus far. Right now I'm going to take a few minutes. I'd never made any videos when I built this shop, but I did take a few pictures. Not many, not the whole thing, not trying to make an album or anything like that, but I took a few pictures. So I'll take a few minutes and show y'all a few pictures. They won't be of the greatest quality because I can't scan them in. They're too old, they're stuck to the photo book. But I'll show them to you, okay? Hope y'all like the pictures. Like I said, they aren't the greatest quality. They're all stuck to the photo albums, but thought you might like them. These are some of those tools I was telling you about, those 500-pound drawer slide tracks that I use for them. And as I mentioned, Commercial Cabinets, Lewis and Company sells those tracks, and all these tools are built on those tracks where they can easily slide out and you can use them. And I'll show you the Craig with it slid out. There we go. And once it's pulled out and locked in place, I got about 2 foot standing room in front of all the tools, maybe 30 inches, which is plenty. And I could sit on those tracks. I could dance on them. I'm a heavy guy, and I literally have walked on them. They work great. They're a little pricey as far as drawer tracks go. I think they're just under $100 a pair or something like that. But they weren't all acquired at once. As the tools went, had to move some around. They all weren't this tight together originally. But as I added a couple of pieces of equipment, I took them loose, scooted them over, got them as tight as I could where they were still usable. So guys, I think I've answered everything that I can. Again, this really is a stage just for YouTube videos. Gotcha again. The shop is in a warehouse complex that I have. It's in central Houston. I don't live very far away. When I was designing the shop, I had my vehicle parked outside quite a bit, and didn't mind the vehicle being parked outside, of course, but it let everybody know I was here, and that wasn't very convenient. So when I was doing the second phase, or the third phase, I designed a little garage in where I could pull the truck in from in front of the property. And if I wanted to be hiding out and hanging out in the wood shop, that way I could do that. So to explain all that to y'all and maybe to help you understand, I made a floor plan of the shop. I never did have one, but just for y'all, I made one, and I'm gonna put it in the comment section with a link to it, where you can get to it in the video. So if you want to see the floor plan, it's pretty accurate. I'm not an architect, but it's okay. To my subscribers again, let me say thank you. Thank you so very much. I greatly appreciate you. I really do. I mean, I just can't find the words to appreciate how much I like it and appreciate you guys. Also, like everything we do in life, just finding the time and making a YouTube video, I made a few mistakes. Also wanted to let y'all know, thanks to a lot of very nice German friends of mine, there's a saying over there that I guess applies to me, and I think it goes something like, it's better to have what you need than to need it and not have it. And if you have the ability and you can, there's nothing wrong with having extra stock or being overstocked. All that means is you're guaranteed you have a lot to do for a long time. You don't have to run to the store all the time. It's great. The screw collection actually started out, not intentionally, believe it or not, but all the guys that worked for me, and not so many do nowadays. I do more subcontracting at the moment as far as the business goes. But they used to go to Home Depot and buy a 4-pack or a 5-pack of this bolt and that bolt and this bolt and that bolt, and gone through the trucks and in the work. I mean, just thousands and thousands of baggies and packs of nuts and bolts and so on and so forth, when all they needed was one. You just can't buy one in some cases. So I originally set out with a big stock of every screw they would possibly need on the job and every nut and bolt, and that just kind of progressed into what you see today. So wanted to let y'all know that. Also, if any of y'all are building a shop right now or are even remodeling the house and need some advice on some sheetrock work, there is a gentleman who I've come to admire. He has a, what do you call it, a channel out there called The Kilted Guy, as in a kilt. His name is Guy. You can find him under The Kilted Guy out there on YouTube. Does great sheetrock work, floating, repairing, getting rid of popcorn ceilings, new sheetrock, all kind of little stuff, even as simple as getting fingernail polish out of carpet and clothing. I mean, just I've found it very informative. I've been doing that type of work all my life, and you know, you can never stop learning. You know, there's a little saying out there, says try and live like you might die tomorrow, but try and learn like you're gonna live forever. And that's my motto when it comes to that. So y'all check out The Kilted Guy. I'll put a link to him in my comment section right below the video, so y'all can get to it. Thank you now. And also, just to let y'all know, I'm working on an inlay video right now, doing some wood inlay, and going to introduce you to another very fine gentleman. I'm also doing a Little Mermaid video. My little girl wanted a mermaid nightlight, so I was making one for her. So I thought while I was doing it, since I did do that type of stuff now and then, it's kind of arts and crafty, I'll go ahead and do a video for y'all on that too. And I wanted to show y'all an update on the sample board. I've gotten quite a few nice little samples recently. So, thought I'd show y'all, and some more I haven't got finished as of the time I'm making this video. But I can't say thank you enough. This is awesome. Gonna have to get more wall space. Be safe, take care, and you know what, huh? I'll be back. Ha! Bye. Bye.